I'ma put you on snooze for like I'ma put you on snooze for like 18 more minutes. I don't wanna wake up today. Just leave me alone. Damn. I woke up with my eyes closed cause I didn't want to see the sunshine no more. I'd rather just sleep all day and not worry about a thing. Feeling like David Ruffin, man, I'd rather it rain. I turn my phone off cause I don't want to answer the calls. When the clock bowl of cereal, I'm still in my drawers. I don't even want to call my girl. I just want to do nothing, just sleep and get away from the world. So I close my eyes, dream.
Check. One, check, two. Ladies and gentlemen, the C&J Sports and Beer Podcast had you on snooze, on pause since Monday. It's Wednesday tonight. This is episode 16.5 of the C&J Sports and Beer Podcast. August 17th on a Wednesday, 2016. And I got my homie Steve here with me tonight. So you know it's going to be a great show. So welcome back live from the Rose City, a.k.a. the PDX, live from America's finest city, Southern California, San Diego. And like I said, we have a great show lined up for you tonight. So first things first, topics. Just give you a rundown on the topics we're gonna speak on tonight, and it's gonna be about the Olympics. And the Olympics are still going on right now. I think they have a couple days before the games totally shut down for another 4 years. I guess that'll be summer, and I think Winter Olympics will be coming up here this winter, so 2017. But anyways, we're going to talk about the Olympics. Should professional athletes be able to compete in the Olympics? Then from there, we're going to speak on LeBron James and that massive contract he signed. We're going to talk some more basketball with Westbrook and his extension and his MVP odds, which is crazy. Not necessarily the extension, but that's something we spoke on a week ago. And then, like I said, now we got this MVP 2-to-1 MVP odds, which is the best odds out there. And then we're going to talk about the Cubbies, Steve Cubs, and what the hell went on Sunday night, which is totally crazy. And then we strictly going to go into the NFL and talk some Packer football, Packer players. Adrian Peterson. So it looks like we're going to be heavy in the NFC North tonight. And then, I just want to put my man Steve on the spot, and we're going to talk some Jets, and we're going to talk some Bills, because on Monday, if you watched the show, Jared and I were on I guess you can say the opposite side of things. He's got the Jets above the Bills, and I have the Bills above the Jets. So it'll be something good for Steve and I to talk about, because like I said, he is a long-time Chicago Bear fan. I'm sure his heart is still in Chicago, and he still has love for the Bears. But you know what I'm saying? Matt Forte left to the AFC. That'll be the East to rock with the Jets. And this man said wherever Matt Forte goes, that's where he's going to go. And I'm sure he's a big fan of one of the Bennett brothers who's playing in the AFC East up in New England. So it's going to be a fun show tonight that we're going to have for you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So, hey, as always, social media blast. And this is just something new. After September 12th, our show is no longer going to be broadcast on Google+. It's going to be on YouTube Live. So if you're familiar with Google+ and YouTube, they work hand in hand together. So we're not going anywhere. We didn't get a big deal. And now we're going to be on YouTube. I mean, we stream Google+ and it goes to YouTube, but you'll be able to find those links directly on our YouTube channel. So if you want to look us up, old videos, new videos, watch us live, all you have to do is stick with us on Google+ or YouTube Live, C&J Sports and Beer Podcast. The Facebook page is up. The Tumblr page has been up. SoundCloud, iTunes, you can find us when you're on a go, if you're on a go, and Twitter. Twitter is something that I love to use and I use daily. So if you ever want to go ahead and tweet at me during the show or anytime after the show, throughout the day, whatever the case may be, that's going to be at CJ Sports Beer Pod. At CJ Sports Beer Pod. Tell us what's going on with you, Steve.
Just enjoying the weather out here in San Diego, Chuck. Again, as usual, thanks for having me on. I love doing this with you. It's going to be fun. Very excited for the topics. that we have laid out here, and I'm definitely ready to set you straight about this Jets Bills conversation.
Well, you know what? I can't wait. You know me, I love a constructed argument with somebody. You know what I'm saying? I love to hear their point. Hopefully they hear mine. We don't have to agree, but we will respect each other because that's what grown men do. So starting off first, gold, silver, or bronze? Should pro athletes be allowed to compete in the Olympic Games? Now, I'm going to let my man Steve jump on this because this is something that we didn't have enough time last week to speak on, and we didn't touch up on it Monday because I wanted to hear his take since this is something he wanted to bring to the table. So go ahead, brother. Should athletes be allowed to compete in the Olympic Games? Let us know your thoughts.
Here's what I think about that. So I definitely think that professional athletes should not be allowed in the Olympics. And this is why I think this way. When you have the option such as Steph Curry, LeBron James, Jordan Spieth to be like, no, I'm good, I don't want to go to the Olympics, that means you probably shouldn't be invited in the first place. Because what kind of sets me off is the fact that NBA basketball players, professional soccer players, professional golf players, they're in our faces all year round. You got obviously the NBA that's bringing in talent from around the world. They're coming over here and making these big contracts. They're all over TV, sports media, social media, all over the place, making all this money. And then it just so happens that in the off season of the NBA, there's the Summer Olympics. And then they're choosing whether or not to represent their country. In my opinion, it is just extremely disrespectful for the true Olympians. And when I say that, think about this, Chuck. You can't even name all the things you've done in the last 4 years. But there's, like, let's say Simone Biles, right? What has she been doing for 4 years? She's been doing nothing but training for the Olympics. She comes out and says, I want 5 gold medals. Anything less than that, she's not satisfied. It's a loss in her book. 4 gold medals and a bronze. I mean, she did that in, again, 4 years of training, 1 Olympics. I'm over here trying to figure out what credit card to pay off. Like, I mean, I just think it's just extremely disrespectful for these professional athletes to come into the Olympics and just kind of like downgrade all the hard work and effort that these other athletes have put into just strictly training for the Olympics. I mean, that's how I feel about it.
Wow, and I respect how you feel, and you bring on a good point because it's something I read when we first wanted to bring this to the table, and sort of what I read, a few different articles I read align with some of the things you said. A lot of the old school Olympians don't feel it's necessary for professional athletes to be a part of the Olympic Games. They think it takes a little bit of the luster away. And we're talking about individuals, as you mentioned, that are the best of the best. And some people think the Olympic Games should be for amateurs. So for me, I look at it as I feel, I sort of kind of feel the same way you feel. But I'm going to be honest, if I knew it was just a bunch of amateur athletes, I wouldn't be as interested in watching it if I knew it was just, a person like you and I who have been training for 4 years to get ready to go win a gold medal, win a silver medal, win a bronze medal, or even just to be a part of it. Because I think being a part of the Olympics, having the opportunity to perform in front of millions of people, dozens of different countries, that's a cool thing because a lot of people don't get that opportunity, especially regular folks like us who would be considered amateurs if we went into the process to become an Olympian. But like I said, I look at it more as a form of patriotism, being patriotic about your country and wanting to go out there and support your nation. And a lot of individuals can't do what you and I did. They can't stand on the yellow footprints, salute to the flag, and join the military and represent the country like that. People aren't built for that. But if athletes, especially if the Olympics is supposed to be about the best of the best, if athletes are willing to sacrifice that time that they can spend with their family members over the course I guess you would say, 2 weeks, the time that they spend training, I think that's a great thing. And I feel when I watch the Olympics, whether it's pro or amateur, I'm looking for the best of the best. And I know there's a lot of individuals out there that aren't professionals and they're amateurs, but they're pretty damn good at basketball. I mean, you see it when you watch the D League. Guys that will never get the chance to compete at the highest level with your LeBron James, your Steph Curry, and all those other guys, but they still have the skills and the talent. But it's just a plethora of players in the basketball league, and there's only so many spots. So you don't get to see these guys who are professionals at the professional levels, but they're still considered amateurs when they're looked down on from, NBA players. So I understand the pride of being an Olympian from yesteryears to present. But I guess in my mind, what I'm saying, I want to see the best of the best. And I look at it as a form of patriotism, patriotic thing, and I think it's cool. But I also know that having, and I'm gonna cut it and let you go. I also know that having these big name individuals, like you said, LeBron James or Steph Curry or Jordan Spieth, even being the talks of the Olympics, it seems to seem like, to me, it's all about the dollar. And the most money they can make by drawing all these big professional names. And like I said, if and it was just strictly amateurs like it was 50 or 100 years ago, I just don't think the interest would be there. Therefore, you and I wouldn't be sitting watching it on TV, and it wouldn't be a big thing like it is now. So
right, and like the thing is, like, where I disagree is like when I say, I guess, professionals, like, let's look at it like this. So Michael Phelps, right, the most decorated Olympian in the history of the Olympics, right? When was the last time that we talked about Michael Phelps? I'll answer that for you. 2012. When was the last time we talked about him before that? 2008. So, like, the point that I'm trying to get at is that these guys and women put in all this effort, and some of them think about this, put in 4 years of effort, day in and day out, perfecting their craft, right? To be the best of the best and to represent their country. Sometimes their 15 minutes of fame only lasts seconds. Think about, like, the 15 or the 50-meter freestyle. That's like a 20-something second event. The 100-meter dash. The high jump, the pole vault, all this stuff. This is stuff that people are training for this specific moment. Like, these professional athletes, they're not training for the Olympics. Especially when they say, well, I don't want to get sick, so I don't want to go. Or maybe I'm not making enough money, or I'm resting up for the NBA. I feel like when you are either asked and you turn it down, like, think about this. There's no way that any Olympian that has been training for as long as they've been training for these Olympics are going to miss this Olympics for anything. Health and whatever. Like, the fact that, I mean, think about the situations. I mean, Jared brought this point up. Think about the situations about how the living conditions are terrible, the water is terrible, there's people are getting mugged at gunpoint, like, all this stuff. They don't care about that. They're there to compete, to show that what they've been doing for 4 years. And I know there's other, like, meets and stuff in between. There's, like, world championships that's every year. So, Simone Biles, I think, is the first female to win that 3 years in a row. But the thing is this, nobody knew about that until the Olympics started. And I'm going to tell you that myself. I had no idea who Simone Biles was until the Olympics started. And I think that's the point of the Olympics, is to get those people known to the world. For people like us who are basketball, football, hockey fans, watch golf. Like, it's to get those other people that are in the pool, that are the gymnasts, that are the synchronized swimmers, that are the fencing people, like all these other sports that you don't get slammed in your face on a daily basis. That's what the Olympics are for. And I really think that they should just, if they want to have basketball and soccer in these sports in the Olympics, then why doesn't the U.S. start drafting or building a team and have them travel the world playing in world tournaments and then being the U.S. Olympic team? Why don't they have college kids who can't make it to the NBA go to the U.S. Olympic team and try out and become, a team that's been together for 4 years, and then they can play in the Olympics? I mean, I feel like that would just be better for the Olympics, better for the sport, and again, hidden talent going that route.
Cool, cool. So you're still looking at it the old school way, I take it then.
I'm a traditionalist, I guess. I guess I'm looking at the old school way.
Okay.
I mean, I guess that's just how I am with it.
Cool. Well, no, like I said, some of the things you said are along some of the things I read. And like I said, I respect both parts. I respect the individual that say, you know what, it should only be about amateurs. It shouldn't be about professional athletes. Because as you mentioned, you have an individual who's training for 4 years straight for 30 seconds of glory, and you have professional athletes who do it every day because it's their job. So it's not necessarily an Olympian's job to train to compete in the Olympics. It's something they want to do. And you have basketball players or soccer players who they have to do it every day, because it's a form of how they take care of themselves and support their family. So I respect what you said. And like I said, I totally agree with it. But I still feel that, you know what I'm saying, if an individual want to represent their country in any way, and the Olympics is one of those ways, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And I totally didn't have any issues with the likes of LeBron James changing his mind, and then a Steph Curry changing his mind about it, or even Dame Lillard wanted to be an Olympian and push for it and push for it. And he changed his mind at the end. I respect that as well, because I understand why they changed their mind. At least as a fan, I understand why. Personally, I don't know, because I don't know them. But I'm all for, whether it be pros, amateurs, I'm all for anyone that wants to support their country, because I did it in a different way. And shit, maybe I wish I would have done something as far as the Olympics. I don't know. I could be, the towel boy, the water boy. You know what I'm saying? Give me a full gold medal for making sure the water was nice and cold for everybody who's coming off the track. But that was a good. I liked your take, man, and I appreciate what you said. So I guess we can move on.
Cool.
And we can talk about LeBron James. The King finally signs a new contract. And here's the details of this contract: $100 million over the next 3 seasons. I thought LeBron James was going to bounce. I honestly did. I thought he figured, I filled my commitment. I'm out of here. I'm going to go join another team. But that's not happening. Okay. The deal includes a no trade clause. So that's something LeBron James, it's the first time in his career that he's ever had a no trade clause. And he's coming off a legendary NBA Finals performance, 29, 11, and 8. So my question to you, do you think $33 million a year, a Cavs roster that is, I guess you can say, almost the same, minus 1 or 2 players, you think that's enough for them to defend their championship and possibly win 1, 2, 3 championships during the duration of LeBron James' contract?
Well, I'll tell you this real quick. For those who don't know, can you explain no trade clause, what that means?
Oh, so a no trade clause, if you don't know, is where no matter what goes on, the team could stink. You could be horrible. They can't get rid of you unless you enforce a trade and you break the no trade clause. So the only individual who can break the no trade clause is the person or the player himself who signed the deal. Other than that, no matter what, you're with the team from start to finish and throughout the entire duration of that contract. So that's what a no trade clause is. Your name will or should never be brought up in a situation on you leaving the team if you do not want to leave the team.
See, I'm going to take that as just another way that LeBron James is just like clenching his fist around the Cleveland Cavaliers. Because, I mean, think about it before, when he didn't have the no trade clause, that means, Miami or Cleveland at the time, if somebody was willing to offer up, like let's just say the Clippers were willing to offer up DeAndre Jordan, Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, to get LeBron James, that means if that sounds good to Cleveland, they can do it. But with this no trade clause, that means only LeBron gets to decide where LeBron's going and what deals are going to be made for the team. So I don't know if I take it as he's still staying for 3 years. I'm definitely taking it as he's getting paid a lot of money, but he can still easily be moved. And I'm actually still hoping he somehow makes his way down to Chicago to pair up with Dwayne Wade.
Well, maybe he can in the next 3 years. You know what I'm saying? There's a possibility. I don't know if D Wade will be around the next 3 years. What, D Wade's what, like 34 years old, I think?
Yeah, he's on the wrong side of 30. That's for
Yeah. So,
sure.
you know what I'm saying?
He's got like a 2-year contract with the Bulls. It's a 1-year guarantee. The other one's a player option. So I mean, with that being said, with the contract that LeBron signed, clearly Wade's willing to leave Miami, obviously, which means he really doesn't have any true loyalty to Chicago. Granted, he grew from there, or he came from there, grew up there. But I still think that the contract that he signed gives LeBron James the power in Cleveland to determine, if he needs to restructure his contract to bring in other free agents, if he wants to be traded, that basically he holds the rights to determine where he really wants to go. So I think it's a smart move on LeBron because, again, he keeps the power, he gets the money, and he's still setting himself up to win championships in Cleveland. So I think it's all around, it's a good move. In Cleveland, to be quite honest with you, they just need to, hang on for the ride because, let's be honest, without LeBron James, Indians, Browns, like, what are we talking here?
Well, I mean, at one point the Indians were hot, and I don't know what happened. I mean, they were the best team in the American League for a long time, and then they went on a nosedive. So I haven't checked the standings in a couple of weeks.
Sounds about right when it comes to Cleveland.
Yeah. But anyways, let me ask you this question. When you look at LeBron James' career overall as a Cavalier, just as a Cavalier, from the draft to the return, winning a championship, now defending the championship and looking forward to the next 3 seasons with him in a Cavaliers uniform, are you more wowed by his first stint with Cleveland right after the draft, or these last 2 seasons, or are you going to be wowed more on the next 3 seasons to come?
You want to say you're more wowed like in the last 2 seasons because he was there again. They went to the championship and then they won the championship, and he did it in 2 seasons. And again, it's a worst to first team. Now they're champions. Now Cleveland's back on the market. They're back on the map. But again, too, it's when he came out of high school, and he was like a top 10 player, like right out of high school. And then he was like the number 1 player, like his second year. He's literally carrying a team. A team that I wouldn't even take on my Olympic team if it was for amateurs. Players on his team that are just terrible. And he took them to the championship. Now they came up short, but that's no small feat in itself. I think LeBron's career in general is just the whole thing's a wow factor. And I'm pretty excited to see what he's going to do over these next 3 seasons and who he's going to attract to come in there. And I'm very surprised that he signed this deal with Kevin Love still on the roster. Like, either they're going to try to figure out a way to work things out, but I'm very curious to see what he decides with Kevin Love.
Cool. And I'm along the lines of, I'm looking forward to the next 3 seasons. What LeBron James is going to do to, I guess, solidify his stamp on Mount Rushmore, or the NBA version of Mount Rushmore. What's going to happen? Who's going to be removed from that list? I'm looking forward to the next 3 years, seeing what LeBron James is going to do. I think the $100 million was a low ball, especially what he's done for Cleveland prior to winning this championship. As you mentioned, the last 2 years and, the years to come, his career as a Cleveland Cavalier has been spectacular. And I don't think it's going to be anything less than that. So still sticking in the association, our beloved NBA, fuel to the fire when Kevin Durant decided to leave. Okay, see you later. Westbrook has the best MVP odds. Does Westbrook have what it takes to be the MVP in the 2016-2017 season? Yes or no?
Hell yeah, he does.
Okay.
Yes, he does. Let me tell you why. Okay. Like I said before, Westbrook doesn't come off as a we player. He comes off as a me player. That's just how I'm looking at it, right? And the reason why I say that is because if KD was supposed to be the number 1 guy, that usually means everything goes through him. There were plenty of times, and for whatever reason, sports, announcers and, ESPN never make a big deal of it. But there's plenty of times that Westbrook took over games and took shots that he probably shouldn't have. And I mean, you could tell too by his field goal percentage. Like, I mean, he's probably a lifetime average, I think probably like a little over 40% lifetime average.
Yeah, that's about right. That's about right.
And so the reason why I think he's so favored is because, like I said before, if he's taken, 20 something shots a game and Kevin Durant is taking 20 something shots a game, most teams, when they lose someone that's taken that amount of shots, they're going to figure out a way how to spread it around. That's not going to happen with OKC. He's going to shoot about the same percentage, but he's just going to have more attempts. And so he's going to be, I guarantee you, he's going to be shooting about 30 times a game, at least. He's just going to be tearing it up. He's going to ball hog it. I think you'll probably see his assists go down, but his points per game will go up. Probably, like I said, his field goal percentage stay about the same. He might even, like, his rebounds and steals, I think everything but assists are going to go up.
Cool. Well, Westbrook is in my top 5 of the best players in the NBA. He's in my top 5, but I'm not buying the 2-to-1 odds for MVP. I'm with you. There's no doubt that Westbrook is going to blow up the stat sheet night in and night out. And I think the team will probably finish somewhere between, the 5th seed and the 8th seed in the West. I like the Thunder, and I can't wait to see them on the floor. However, when I think about the squad, it reminds me of like that 2014-15 season when KD was out most of the season. I think when KD was out, Westbrook was doing his thing. And prior to KD going out, Westbrook was out with a wrist injury or hand injury or something like that. They went 45 and 37. They were second in the Northwest, and they missed the playoffs. And they only missed the playoffs by like a game or a game and a half or some odd thing that went on. If the Pelicans would have lost the game to, I want to say that would have been, they played the Spurs, then OKC would have been in. But Pelicans beat the Spurs, and I think that messed up the situation with the Spurs or whatever the case may be. But that was that. That been the 2015 season, so that would have been when I think who won that 2015. That would have been when the Golden State Warriors first got their championship, and then the Spurs were booted out. So I don't have them missing the playoffs, but I can't recall when a team finished outside of the top 4 and had an MVP on their squad. So I agree with you. Westbrook, he's going to blow the stat sheet up. His points are going to go up. Field goals may stay the same. Him sharing the ball may not be at a high level as it was with Kevin Durant on the team and Serge Ibaka on the team and whatnot. But, I mean, I just don't think they're going to win or be a top 4 team for him to be considered an MVP, especially when you still have Steph Curry in that league and that monster team they have. You have Dame Lillard will be in maybe the same situation as Westbrook as far as winning. And then you still have Kawhi Leonard, who I honestly think he may be the MVP this coming season. I think Kawhi Leonard is going to be that guy. And it's just because the Spurs never die out. There's like a magic, the birthday candle where you blow it and blow it and blow it and the flame still comes up. So the Spurs, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I honestly think in my preseason pick for the MVP, I'm a big Westbrook fan. Kawhi Leonard isn't in my top 5. He's in my top 10, but I honestly think Kawhi Leonard is going to be the MVP for the 2016-17 season. Remember where you heard it first. So I think Westbrook will be good. I think he will be great, but I just don't think he will be MVP great this season.
See, I mean, I agree with you to a certain extent. Now, the reason why I think that Westbrook is so rated so high is because, one, no more KD, so he's taking shots. He was already taking shots away from KD when he was there. Two, also because OKC, I mean, they're still a good team. I don't think they're a championship team, but I mean, if they make the playoffs, then it's kind of hard but it's kind of hard not to say Westbrook isn't an MVP, because if he blows the stats up. Now, if they don't make the playoffs and he has the numbers, then I think you'll see a Kawhi Leonard fight for that. Now, my opinion, I think all around, Kawhi Leonard is a better basketball player. Westbrook is definitely a better athlete, but I mean, watch Kawhi Leonard play defense. I mean, he's got hands that are the size of me. They're like 5'7", 5'7". Like, he's a huge hands, huge defense. He just always comes to play. Like, I find it very hard for him not to be in MVP contention towards the end of the season. Again, based off of what OKC is doing.
Cool. Before we go on a break and before we wrap up this first segment of the show, Smack My Witch Up. I don't know if you guys ever heard the song before. I don't know if you ever heard the song before. I honestly thought it was a hip hop song, to be honest with you. I thought it was a hip hop song. I didn't think it was like a rock song or an electric funk song. Let me get my notes queued up right here. But I'm gonna play you guys a clip of the song so you can see what Steve and I are talking about. Here's a clip of the song right here. I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of that. It's a funny one, man. And this right here, it's pretty dang funny. I mean, if you ask me, you know what I'm saying? It's a pretty funny tune. Okay. So I guess if you watch baseball, if you ever been to a baseball park, when the pitchers go onto the mound, when the pitchers walk off, they all have their music. Someone hits a home run, they have their music. When a batter's coming up to the batting box, they all have their music. So I guess the reason why this story, I look at it as a Chapman plus music person equals bad luck. If you guys, you may or may not know Chapman, but a couple years ago, I think that was, let me see here, 2015. In 2015, October, he got into a domestic dispute with his girlfriend. It wasn't reported into 2015 December, but he was allegedly accused of a domestic violence, whether he put his hands on her, pushed her, whatever the case may be. But the big thing was, he fired 8 or 9 shots inside of his house, and the girlfriend was there. So that situation went on. He ended up was suspended for 29 or 30 games. And I guess this policy is similar to the NFL new policy that they have. What is that? Conduct. What is it called? The personal conduct policy. Right. So this new baseball has a new policy where it suspends you. I think it's 30 games, where the NFL is 6 games max?
I think it's something like it starts like at 6, and then if you have another one, it's like a full season.
Okay. Or is it
something like that?
Yeah. So I know you have your standard 4 games for your first offense, but I think this personal conduct is either 6 or it's 10 games. I don't know, but in MLB it's 30 games. I guess. Long story short. He comes off the mound. He's a relief pitcher, so he comes off the mound. And this is in a game where the Cubbies lost, but I don't want to be sour grapes. They won 2 of the 3 in the series, but they lost this game. But he's coming off the mound, and throughout the PA system, the DJ plays that song, and out of nowhere, it just caused so much drama based on the situation he was in with his ex-girlfriend. The DJ ends up getting fired, and the Cubs is in the media for the wrong reason, and everyone's looking at what the hell is going on with the Cubs. You guys are having a great season. You brought this guy in. Some people didn't think he should have been brought into the team. I'm guessing he was about to be traded to, would have been like, was it the Dodgers wanted to make that trade for him, if I'm not mistaken?
There was some rumbles about that.
Yeah, and then somehow he ended up with the Cubs, which is a great fit because, the Cubs are going to be something special either this year or years to come. But I just thought the situation was funny. And since Steve is on the show tonight, I just wanted to hear his take on this situation, on, a not so pretty sight to see or hear at Wrigley Park. So how do you feel about this?
Here's how I feel about it. So like you said before, the DJ who played that song got fired, right? Now, obviously he has somewhat of a sense of humor, it seems like, but apparently no one else does. And of course, it's one of those things where it's like listen, let you be the one that makes a mistake, right? Let you be the one that makes a mistake, and then you're going to be like, well, I shouldn't be fired. But someone else makes a mistake, everyone is on that person. They're calling for jobs right off the bat. But let you be the one that does something that's not popular, and then you be surprised when you get fired. That's what I don't like. Yeah, these people are hiding behind social media, making all these comments. It's like, if you didn't think it was good, if you thought what Chapman did, agree with it, regardless if he was found guilty, not found guilty, the fact that he was in the situation to begin with, if you think that it's such a bad thing, then why are the Cubs still selling seats? Why are the Cubs still selling out seats? Why are the people still watching the Cubs? Because he can play. Let this guy not throw 100 miles an hour per, every pitch. Then you know what? Then he's washed up. Nobody even wants him, a.k.a. Ray Rice. If Ray Rice had anything left in the tank, anybody would take him.
Yeah.
Anybody would take him. But apparently it's the fact that when Ray Rice went out, he was averaging like 2-point-something yards a carry. Like he lost his mojo apparently.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's no good. Michael Vick, he's still got something left in the tank. He comes out of prison to $100 million contract.
$100 million contract.
So I mean, I think it's bogus the way the media does things. It's bogus the way fans do things. Man, what I think next time, if anything, I think Ray Rice should be singing that song next time Chapman comes out to the mound. That's what I feel about that.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the first part of the show. We're gonna go on a 90-second break. That's the best way to end it right there. That's the best way to end it right there. We're going to go on a 90-second break. Stay tuned with this. We will be back. And like I said, when we come back, it's going to be strictly NFL, not fun league, not forever league. Or if you're one of the Bennett brothers, you'll probably say something silly like one of y'all clowns did a couple weeks ago. So we will return in about 90 seconds. All right.
That's funny.
It could always be worse. Then again, what do I know? Works in the house. And before I put out my cigarette, I gotta say to everybody that procrastination is a motherfucker, man. For those of you who don't know, yeah.
Yeah, another day, another dollar, dude. But all my money moving slower than chopping screw. I mean, who knew that one day I could make it out? But at this pace, it's a coffin that I'm talking about. And all my friends say I wait too long. I procrastinate and look around like what went wrong? I don't even know, man, I just burnt this blunt. And the unemployment check's coming, I ain't got it this month. And my work ethic, yeah, pretty much sucks. I've been giving so much, I don't know what's tough. Maybe I'm just spoiled, maybe it's just me. I'll just take what I can and get the rest for free. And me in school, one day I'll get through. Until your ass so old, you'll be looking like blue. Until you're homeless and you begging for loot. Drop some coins in my cup and I give you the
Yeah. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. As always, it's the works. We embody real creative soul coming out of the speakers. My homeboys from Oceanside, California. Welcome back to the show. The homie Steve is here with us tonight. Social media blast like I always do. Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, Google+, YouTube channel, C&J Sports and Beer Podcast. And if you want to add us, tweet us, whatever you want to do, tweet us at CJ Sports Beer Pod. At CJ Sports Beer Pod is the Twitter handle. Ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned, we have a good show, and here's the second part of the show. So all I got to say is, are you ready for some football, Steve?
Oh, you know it.
22 days away. For the past 4 weeks, Jared and I have been covering the NFL and the NC2A, getting football ready, whether it be for the draft, whether it be for fantasy football draft or weekly pick'em. I do this thing with my father-in-law. We call it the Power Five, where we look at the Power Five conference and we pick selective games out of that. And then we go on to the 5 for 50 is the name. We only make bets on a Power Five teams. We submit 5 games a week, and whoever has the most games win $5 each game. If you get 5 for 5, it's extra 50. So it's a pretty cool, challenging thing. You know what I'm saying? This year, I look to win more games than lose games. But like I said, covering the NFL and college football gave me a better insight on who to pick, when to pick, and how to line those picks up each week. So tonight wouldn't be right if I didn't have Steve on the show to talk football, because we will be talking about his New York Jets in this second part of the show. So if you guys are ready, we're ready. This is going to be 1st to 10, and I'm just going to say 1st and 10. He's a bad man, like my man Stephen A. Smith would say. Aaron Rodgers said NFL players are silent on social issues out of the fear that the NFL is going to do something to make them miss out on money and miss out on games. Steve, do you agree with my man AR12?
I don't know if well, I mean, again, they got that kind of, what's that? They got that catch-all rule, the personal conduct rule, which is one of those where it's kind of like, what is that in the military? The Article 22, where it doesn't matter what you did.
No matter what you did.
We'll find it. We'll find something. We'll make something up. So I understand what he's saying. But I really think what it is, because think about it. Now, the comment I just made of, hey, I think it would be hilarious if Ray Rice sang that song as Chapman came out. Okay. The people that are listening to this, some of them might have liked that. Some of them might have not liked that. But I'm still going to be able to go to work tomorrow and not have to hide behind anybody. Now, catch one of these professional athletes saying something like that, and it's going to have a huge uproar. So I think it's more the fact that it's not necessarily the NFL that is making them silent on social issues because they're going to try to take money from them. It's everyone else. It's social media. It's the fans. It's, all the sports analysis, all the sportscasters, all the sports shows, the ESPNs, and NBC News. They're the ones that are going to spin it in one way, how they want to spin it to get ratings and do this. And then everyone's going to be on that athlete for saying that or whatever it is. So I don't necessarily think it's the NFL. It's the pressure that the NFL feels from everybody else that makes them have to react to a situation.
Cool. And he said one thing in this bite, or, when he was speaking. I mean, some of the stuff I heard on the Jim Rome show, and then some of the stuff I heard on just after the fact recording on a Wisconsin radio. But he said something like he believes players want to speak out. However, they're reluctant to speak out because they're worried about the possible repercussions. And then I kind of scratched my head and was like, man, did Aaron Rodgers listen to what the Bennett brothers said? Because they said a ton of things and they haven't faced repercussions yet. Now, I'm hoping Martell is facing repercussions when the Patriots play the Texans, you know what I'm saying? But, I'm saying, as far as the NFL dropping a hammer on those two brothers for expressing themselves and saying what they had to say about individual players in the league, snarky comments about Roger Goodell, and overall being a black athlete just in America, nothing has been said against them. So, I didn't want to look deep into it, but I just wonder if Aaron Rodgers saying, well, you know what? Granted, this league is it has a large majority of I guess you can say black players. So it's easy for a black player to speak out because they're talking about things that, they're familiar with, they may have grown up with, or they can understand because these things are happening in communities where the people in those communities are just like them. But as you mentioned, the NFL isn't going to drop the hammer on them. But let's just say a white guy like Aaron Rodgers went out and voiced his opinion. Then you got to think about the negative press that he may get for saying something positive or saying something that isn't as positive, but what he believes in. The NFL is going to feel the wrath, not based on what he said, but how everyone else is going to react. So I'm saying I kind of feel where he's coming from. But like I said, if these players think they should say something, feel they should say something, and they mean it, go ahead and do it. Don't say things just because it seems like everyone will like it, or it may help your brand out, or you just don't want to be that guy in the corner. Because as you mentioned, the monkey crap that's going to be thrown at you isn't going to be by the NFL. It's going to be by the people that are outside of the NFL, the fans, the media, which is going to put pressure on the NFL to throw more crap at you in a negative way. So I
kind of think.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I kind of feel like it's almost like a cop out by Aaron Rodgers to where like he like almost just like the Bill Belichick, you know, like he doesn't, if he has no opinion, then no one can not like him. They can just be upset with him because he doesn't have an opinion. He's talking about the NFL. He really thinks the NFL is out to get their players for speaking their mind. Okay, I read you a quote that Michael Bennett said when asked about Roger Goodell. He said he's an asshole, and then he goes, "Oh wait, I can't say that. Overpaid." Let me tell you this: if there was one camera on me and I called my CEO an asshole, I wouldn't be at work the next day. It kind of seems like they have a little bit of a longer leash than most people.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Wow. Well, okay. We picked up 3 yards there, so we are at 2nd and 7. Here we go. Orange, apple, or fruit punch. Who's got the juice? We both agree that the Packers should be and will be the favored team in the NFC North.
I like that. I like that coming in. Sorry, I like that coming in. Who got the juice?
Who got the juice? You know what I'm saying?
Hit it up.
And you know that is a funny one right there. And I'm gonna be honest, everybody. I made that up. I made that one up. Nobody helped me with that. Orange, apple, fruit punch juice. Who got the juice? You know what I'm saying? Here we go. Steve and I both believe. I mean, we had this conversation during. I want to say that was 15.5 or 14.5. We spoke about. We did like a second show in the middle of the week after words, and we spoke about the NFC North, and we both agreed that the Packers are the team to beat in the NFC North. But I'm just wondering if things go south with this situation of this Al Jazeera accusing, or I guess 4 popular players in the NFL names popped up on a list on performance enhancing drugs. You had Peyton Manning, who's no longer in the league, retired. And then you had Clay Matthews, Julius Peppers, and my man James Harrison. If all that goes south with the Packers, you got Deflategate, which was an issue for Roger Goodell, Ray Rice situation, Adrian Peterson situation, Greg Hardy. Now you have this Al Jazeera situation. I'm wondering what the hell is going on. The NFL threatened both Julius Peppers and Clay Matthews with suspensions if they don't sit down and speak with the NFL regarding the alleged PED rumors. The Players Association told Clay Matthews, Julius Peppers, and also James Harrison to sit tight, not say anything. So some people think the NFL is back to its bullying, trying to get players to speak when they don't necessarily have to speak. And they're bullying the players by saying, if you do not speak with us, if you do not cooperate by August 25th, come 12/01 August 26th, you are suspended indefinitely. What do you think about that situation?
Well, I think if they have nothing to hide, just say something. I mean, isn't that how it's been? Like, I find it very funny that, you know, we go through this every time a situation like this comes up. You know, we go through the same thing over and over. You know, if you did what, you know, you weren't supposed to do, fess up to it. Prime example, A-Rod. He was on a list that shouldn't have been leaked, but it did get leaked. So instead of being like, yeah, I did it, my bad, he tries to throw everybody under the bus, and now that's the only thing anyone can remember. Like, this guy has the opportunity to pass up Babe Ruth for home runs, but nobody cares about that. No one's even talking about that. Matter of fact, he's going to come up short because nobody wants him around. He's supposedly this great teammate, but nobody wants him around. You look at, what's his name, Braun on Milwaukee. He got busted. He said, my bad. Melky Cabrera, my bad. What happened? They get $100,000, $100 million contracts, and then they just move on. No one's talking about them anymore about that. They're just moving on. Like, I just don't understand. Hey, if you did it, fess up, move on. Don't drag it out. If you didn't do it, talk to them, answer their questions, have a lawyer present, figure it out. I don't know why they're dragging things on like this.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those crazy situations too. I don't know if the Players Association is trying to play hardball with Roger Goodell, but if Peyton Manning was cleared of everything that he was accused of, then if it's not true and you guys know it's not true, then just sit down with him. All you have to do is sit down with him. They'll probably ask you a few questions. It'll be a yes, it'll be a no. But if the Players Association doesn't want the players to sit down with Roger Goodell, then maybe they know something that we don't know. And if they are trying to play hardball, if Roger Goodell and those guys up at the top level of the NFL office say, we're going to suspend you indefinitely, then, now you're jeopardizing your career, because I think most NFL suspensions, are they still paid, or are they not paid? What's the level to where they're not paid once they're suspended? I know some of them are.
I mean, yeah, I'd have to look into that. I almost want to say any suspension is like an unpaid suspension, or an unpaid suspension. I believe.
Okay.
Either that, or they might kind of like reconstruct their payments. So if they're normally making, I don't know, like $200,000 a game, and now they're not getting paid for 4 games, so $800,000, they might just reconstruct it so they still get a paycheck every week, but it's just going to be a little bit less.
Okay, so they just miss out on the portion of what they would have been paid if they were an active player.
Yeah, I think, I'd have to look into that, but regardless, I mean, it's just one of those things where, it's kind of tough because you do have to listen to the Players Association. Like, that's what they're there for. Like,
yes.
They're the buffer between you and the league. And I understand where the players are coming from. If a bank robbery happened in Chicago and I clearly have an alibi, I'm talking to you in San Diego, and they want to question me on it, you best believe I'm not coughing anything up. I know I didn't do it, but I ain't helping you either. I'm getting a lawyer. I'm doing everything that I can to not go in anywhere or answer any questions.
Yeah.
I get them on that, and that's what the Players Association's about. I do feel like Goodell and the NFL are kind of, flexing their muscle, bullying the players, a little bit here. And it's one of those things where it's like either have the Players Association talk to the players, pass it along, do something. But one of those things where they're saying, we're going to make you do this. It's like, what's the point of having a Players Association if you're just going to trump them and make them talk and answer all these questions that they don't want to?
Yeah, and I honestly think, the players should speak. Honestly, if they have nothing to hide, sit down and speak to Roger Goodell and whoever he has in the office, taking notes on whatever the case may be with you as a player being accused of something you did or did not do. But for me, I think the Players Association, we're just going to fight it. And if we take it to court, then the suspension is there, but it's not there. So you get to go out there and perform. And the players can see us at work, see that we're fighting for them. So when the collective bargain agreement time comes around, they can get some of that power away from Roger Goodell to where he's not the judge, jury, and the executioner. So I honestly think that it's like one of those poker moves. They're bluffing. They want the players to speak, but they're trying to tell the players to hold out, sit tight, don't say anything, because they can't necessarily just suspend you indefinitely. Because if they do, then we'll go through the whole round of mumbo jumbo for a whole year after the fact with Tom Brady and the Deflategate situation. So I see both parts. But like I said, if I'm a player and I know I'm innocent and I know I didn't do anything, then I'm going to just tell the Players Association straight up. If they want me to speak to them, you guys go in there and get the proper information and know that when I do go in there and speak with them, they don't mess around and hit me with a Ray Rice situation. Suspend me for 4 games, I think. And then next thing you know, videotape come out and boom, I'm gone for the remaining of the year and I can't get a job, even though, I'm paying all my dues back to society based on the act that I went out and did. So I do agree with you. They're flexing their muscles, but I also think that if the players have nothing to hide, then go ahead and speak, get it over with, because for the Packers' sake, if then things don't go the Brady route and 2 of their I guess best defense, or Julius Peppers, I guess you can say he was the best defensive player on the squad last season, and I think he'll have a monster year. But I'm thinking Clay Matthews is going to come out of his shell and be a better player. If you lose those 2 guys, then I'm going to just have to give a crown to the Vikings, man. So they need to get it together. They need to get it together.
Real quick, so the best player on the Packers defense is Julius Peppers. Go figure. The Bears, dummies, cut him loose because they think he can't play anymore. I ain't going more into it.
Hey, you know what? Bear down, man. Bear all the way down. Bear all the way down.
Real quick to put a cap on this real quick. If Jordy Nelson comes back and Fatty Lacey is cutting down on weight, Aaron Rodgers is still your quarterback, Their defense wasn't that good last year. They still had 10 wins. They still won the division. I really think if they're both suspended for 4 games, it really doesn't even matter.
Word up, word up. Okay, well, look at that. 3rd and 4, the running man challenge. I don't know if you guys know about the running man challenge, but it was like a big popular thing a few months ago when the beautiful city of Detroit, my hometown, did a running man challenge, and they started challenging all these police departments across the United States. So it was cool. So this running man challenge here has something to do with my man, Adrian Peterson. 20 carries per game. How do you feel about the Vikings wanting Adrian Peterson to touch the ball 20 times per game? Now, 31 isn't realistic. I mean, if you do the math, that's 320 carries, 7 less than a season ago. But I mean, once your one running back hits 30, 31, like you said, the other side of 30, not mid 30, but the other side of 30, that's when they start to decline and you start to take some of that load away. So North Turner is saying this, I think, because he still believes in Adrian Peterson. He believes that the new look O-line they have will stop defenders from approaching Adrian Peterson in the backfield, and he doesn't have to worry about getting hit or breaking tackles, making his runs easier for him. Or I think North Turner is on a fantasy league. He has the first pick, and he's trying to freaking pick Adrian Peterson number 1. So he's trying to feed him the ball so he can get those points. So you tell me, what do you think about Adrian Peterson touching the ball 20 times again this season like he did last season?
Well, I mean, I really think it's kind of more of a ploy because, I mean, he's averaging 19.8 attempts a game anyway. So, I mean, his career is averaging 20 rushes a game. So I think North Turner is emphasizing that, trying to make it seem like we're going to run even more, even though they're going to run the same amount. You know, if he should say something like, we're going to have him run it 25 times a game if he wants to say anything new, because having him touch the ball 20 times a game, again, isn't changing anything from his entire career. You know, I think it's one of those things where he's putting the emphasis on that to actually help out Teddy Bridgewater, because now the defense are going to be thinking, oh, AP is touching it 20 times a game. It's going to be a run. It's going to be a run. It's going to be a run. It's going to open up some passing for Teddy Bridgewater because defense are going to put 8 in a box. I mean, and then when you look at it too, they got him on a contract, and they're going to try to get all the tread off that tires before they're done with him. So they're going to, I mean, again, the Cowboys set the tone here with what they did with DeMarco Murray. They force-fed that guy the ball, and then after they got what they wanted out of him, they're like, go make money somewhere else. You know, so I think that's what you're going to see. That's going to be the new thing. Ezekiel Elliott. They're going to have force-feed him the ball for his rookie year for 4 years, get the good years out of him, and then he's going to go get a fat contract somewhere else. Adrian Peterson's a freak of nature. They got him tied up for like another $42 million for the next 3 years or something like that. So you know they're going to use him as much as they can before he calls it quits.
Cool. And, you know, I kind of, like I said, I kind of look at those same stats and like I'm wondering, wasn't necessarily freaking out, but I'm like, man, why is North Turner telling us something that statisticians and big time number guys already know? And like I said, it'll just be 7 less attempts than he had last season. So no big thing. You handled it well. You said everything that I would have said. So we're going to move on. This was 3rd down and 4, ladies and gentlemen. We're 4th and 4. And we're going to go for it. And when I say we're going to go for it, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to put my homeboy Steve on the spot. I'm going to see how confident he is in his New York Jets. So yesterday or the day before yesterday, Monday night, on the C&J Sports and Beer podcast, the premier show of what we have going on, we were speaking on the AFC East. And we got to, you know, first team, obviously, we have the Patriots as the best team in the AFC East. But Jared and I were, you know what I'm saying, on the opposite sides of things, dealing with the Bills, dealing with the Jets, dealing with the Bills. However you want to say it depends on your allegiance between each team. I have them down as a neck and neck tie. And the only reason why I say that, quarterback Tyrod Taylor over Ryan Fitzgerald. I honestly like Tyrod Taylor more than Fitzpatrick, not Fitzgerald. So I like Ryan Fitzpatrick less than I like Tyrod Taylor. So I give the edge on a quarterback situation to the Bills. Then when we go to the wide receiver situation, I think that is a tie. I mean, if you have Sammy Watkins on your team, you have a Brandon Marshall on your team, you will be successful if your quarterback can get them the ball. Fitzpatrick proved he can get his wide receivers the ball, and my man Tyrod Taylor proved he can get the wide receivers the ball. Then we go to the running back situation there. You still have Shady McCoy. He was kind of shaky last year, but he was injured for the most part. And I think he'll be coming back healthy this year. And then you have a guy like Matt Forte, who's always been money, but he's getting up in age. And I think he's about the same age as us, give or take 2 or 3 more years older than us. So that's a tie there. And then we get to the defense aspect of things. I mean, when you have Darrelle Revis on your squad, it just increases the level of your defense play to the max. So I'm going to give the edge to the Jets. But I think these two teams, it's going to come down to, I guess, coaching. I think it's going to come down to coaching. I'm going to give that to Rex Ryan. Since he understands the makeup of the Jets, he was once the head coach for the Jets. He beat them twice last year by the score of 22-17 both times, which that last game totally removed a pretty good Jet team, 10-6, away from, reaching the playoffs. Rex has been out of the playoffs for the last 5 years. I think he's hungry for a playoff spot, just like Todd Bowles. I think Rex Ryan is ready to get back to, getting his defense up to the levels that they were when he was winning in New York as the head coach of the Jets. He has his brother with him. And, his brother, when he has players, he's a pretty good defensive coordinator. And we all know the mind of Rex Ryan. He's also a good defensive coordinator that should only be a coordinator, but he's a coach. But I think it's time for him to get back to that old grid, iron, grind defense like we know Rex Ryan can do. And I think the Bills are on an upswing. And I also think my last thing is I think Fitzpatrick is great. I think he's all good, but I just don't know what the Jets will get out of him in clutch time. And the only reason why I say that, you just go back to that last game. He had his worst game at the wrong time, and it put them in a position to miss the playoffs. So I'm rolling with the Bills in this situation. And I guess outside of coaching, the next things, I'm just going to say schedule. I think the Bills' schedule is far easier than the Jets' schedule. Games I feel and believe they're going to win 100%, Ravens, Rams, 49ers, the Jags, and the Browns. That's 5 wins right there. Then they got these 50-50 games that could be in their favor. That's the Raiders, and then that's the Cardinals playing in Buffalo. And then you got the division games against the Dolphins and then the Jets. So they're going to split with the Jets, I think, and they're going to beat the Dolphins twice. If you add that up, Steve, that's 10 wins. Now, when you look at the Jets, here's their schedule right here. They got Cincy at home. They got the Bills and the Chiefs on the road. That's 1, 2, 3. They got the Seahawks at home. They got the Steelers and the Cardinals on the road. They got Baltimore at home. They have Cleveland and Miami, and then they have the Rams at home. They played the Pats twice after the bye. After the bye, they played them twice, not back-to-back, but they played them twice in a matter of right after the bye and close to ending the season. They have the Colts, 49ers, Dolphins, and the Bills to end the season. I honestly think the way their schedule is constructed is just tough. So Jets or Bills, who's better? Who's really better? I think they're both a draw, but I'm leaning more to rolling with the Bills over the Jets. Please set me straight because I know your cheer is on fire right now.
Man, I've been waiting. All right, let's do this. Let's break it. I'm going to re-break it down for you, all right? Tyrod Taylor versus Fitzpatrick. Athletic-wise, you got to tip your cap to Tyrod Taylor. As a quarterback, Fitzpatrick is clearly a better quarterback. Because we look at he's a pocket passer, which that's what the NFL really needs. Yes, a little bit of mobility is a good thing, but again, he's a pocket passer. He fits the offense better. The Bills really don't know too much about what's going on offense. I know for sure neither one of the Rex brothers do. So right off the bat, and then not to mention Fitzpatrick, he threw for 31 touchdowns. That set a Jets record. How many times has Ben Roethlisberger threw for 30 touchdowns in his career? 0. All right, moving on. Then you're going to go with your Sammy Watkins versus Brandon Marshall. Definitely got to tip your cap to Brandon Marshall. Sammy Watkins, he's always coming up with some injuries. He's got a lot of hip and ankle injuries. And then also he's inconsistent. Does he put up numbers? Yeah, but they're in bunches. It's not throughout the season. And then we go even in more depth into the receiving core. Can you name another receiver on the Bills? I'll wait. No, you can't. But we have Eric Decker on the Jets. He also put up 1,000 yards. He had his touchdowns. So I think you got to give the receiving core to the Jets. You're going into the backfield, Matt Forte versus Shady. Yeah, I think Matt Forte athletically might not have the same pop as Shady does, but all in all, I think that Forte has proven that he is still a dominant back in the backfield, and he's going to be paired up with Blip Powell, who showed some really good things when he was paired up with Chris Ivory. So, I mean, Matt Forte had a bunch of catches out of the backfield. Again, he was like 65% of the Bears' offense. If they're going to lighten the load on him, that's only just going to make him more durable, last longer throughout the season. I still think you got to give tip the scales over there to the Jets' backfield. The defense, I mean, I don't even want to get into an argument about the defense here. Not only is the Jets' defense hands down better, just because they still have Revis Island, because they still have, a great up-and-comer that they recently drafted in Leonard Williams. They signed Muhammad Wilkerson, so they have Sheldon Richardson. So they got a bunch of players on the team, on defense, on the line, that's going to be really making things difficult for the quarterbacks. And all I'm going to say is this. Rex Ryan, that's great. He's very good at defense, and I really think that his true calling is to be a defensive coordinator, just like his old man. When his old man tried to become a head coach, he kind of fell off a little bit. But if he would go back to being a defensive coordinator and just a defensive coordinator, he could do some serious things. The fact that he brought his brother on, who is the Saints defensive coordinator, who I think were always either
they were horrible, man. They were horrible.
Worse.
They were horrible. Okay, I give that to you. They were horrible.
I don't know how that defense is supposed to get better. I think the only thing that you have on the Jets is, yes, they have a very tough schedule, but they are a very tough team. They didn't make the playoffs. They still had 10 wins, and they did split with the Patriots, which is not an easy feat. And I will give it to you, yes, the Bills did beat them twice. Fitzy, he did choke at the end there. Some costly turnovers, untimely turnovers. But I think in the end, when you actually match these teams up, player for player, and again, all we can go off of is on paper, there's no way that anyone can say that the Bills are better than the Jets.
You know what? And I'm gonna be honest with you. I do agree with you. I'm not saying they're better. I'm just
first down.
I'm not saying. I'm just giving them the edge, based off, like you said, on paper, based off the things that happened last year. And for me, it's just the schedule, man. Their schedule is tough. As you mentioned, they are a tough team. You know what I'm saying? Their schedule is tough. But like I said, when we did this talk on Monday and even today, I have both these teams as number 2. So the same thing I told Jared. Patriots number 1, number 2, Bills and Jets. And then number 3 is nobody, and number 4 is the Dolphins. You know what I'm saying? So they still have a hurdle to climb to even get to number 3, and no one is there. So, you know what I'm saying? I think it's going to be pretty interesting to pay close attention to the AFC East, not only for the simple fact that Brady is gone for the first 4 games, and you're wondering what the Patriots are going to do without him for 4 games and what they're going to do to finish up the next 12 games. But like I said, just that battle between the Bills and the Jets, I think that's going to be an interesting battle, and I can't wait to see those two battle it out on the field together and what they do with the individual opponents that they're going to face. So like I said, but it's crazy when you just mentioned Fitzy choked the last game of the season and missed the playoffs. Let me ask you a question. Who do you think choked the most? Fitzgerald in his choke job against the Bills, that loss removed him from the playoffs, or the choke job that Carson Palmer did against the Carolina Panthers.
I hate to say it, man, but I gotta say Fitzy.
You gotta say, okay.
I think because he had the opportunity to lead his team into the playoffs, and I understand that Palmer had the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, but I mean, it was just like Carolina's year. I mean, the Palmer had a great season, and he was going up a very tough team that went to the Super Bowl. Jets lost to the Bills. All right? Like, the Bills were nowhere near as good as the Jets, and they lost to the Bills to not make the playoffs. I think the choke artist has got to go to Fitzy. We're going to correct that this year. Don't worry about it. I talked to him. We've been texting. Everything's good. He's ready to go this season. He's happy with his contract. He's going to be feeding Marshall. He's going to be feeding Decker. He's going to be throwing the ball to Forte. So we're all good.
Cool. And for me, I'm just going to say Carson Palmer only because, the week prior, they were the better team against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. And I know Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback, but there's no way that game should have been that close. And Aaron Rodgers actually almost sent those boys home. And then he follows it up with the situation. As you mentioned, it was the Panthers' year, but he just looked like a guy lost out there. You know what I'm saying? And that would have been, I guess you can say he was having a great season. The season before that, then he went down with a knee injury. Then they had a quarterback situation there in Arizona, and they couldn't work it out. And the following season, you come back and you get almost there. So I understand why some people think the Cardinals are the favorite in the NFC as a whole, to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. I don't believe that, but I do understand the thing of the third time is the charm. And my man Carson Palmer was drafted number 1 in 2003. So, and this is what his third team too, from the Bengals to the Raiders to the Cardinals. So the third time is the charm. The Cardinals may make something happen, but I'm not necessarily believing that because I believe in other teams. So I don't know how you feel about just that tidbit right there, but I'm leaning more towards Carson Palmer over Fitzpatrick.
I mean, I guess just to make my point just a little bit more, Chris Johnson, he broke his leg. He was out, he missed quite a bit towards the end when they needed him, and coming back from an injury like that is, never easy. Also, I don't think they utilized David Johnson as much as they're going to this year. I think David Johnson is definitely going to be someone that you're going to be wanting paying attention to. He's definitely going to be someone that you're going to want to do on your daily fantasy. He's going to be someone you're going to want to draft high because I think that guy's going to get quite a bit of touches. So I think, again, there was a few injury issues on there. And, I mean, a Hail Mary to, force an overtime or whatever. It's like, I don't know, it's kind of cheap, really. I mean, it's fun for the game, fun for us. I mean, it's fun for us, but I mean, let's be real.
I guess you don't ever want to be on the receiving side of that.
No, hell no, man.
Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna wrap up, but just know, episode 17 will feature a beer from Lagunitas Brewing. It's called the 12th of Never. It's the first time Lagunitas put their beer in a can. So before we go into our college football beer representation, our NFL week 1, game 1 beer representation, before we roll to Hispanic Heritage Month beer representation, our end of the summer beer representation, we're going to take you on a long ride and have a drink with us. 12th of Never by Lagunitas Brewing. It's in a can, nice, beautiful purple can. So if you're going to watch the show on Wednesday, we move from Monday to Wednesday, starting next week. Have that beer and toast it up with us if you can. Jared and I will wrap up our Power 5 conference talk, and we'll be speaking on the ACC, which is an interesting conference because I think they have the best quarterback in college football in that conference. We'll talk some NFL, but it'll be more about predictions and end of the season awards and whatnot, Super Bowl predictions and playoff predictions and things like that. If you want to be on the show, please reach out to us. We're always up for having guests. We have the giveaway. Like I said, continue to watch the show. We'll have more information on the giveaway, but basically it's going to be questions or things that we're going to ask individuals that happened from episode 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20, and also those 0.5 shows that we have as well. As always, I want to thank the fans who listen to us. I want to thank the producers. I want to thank my homeboy Steve. And I also want to say one thing. Steve and I are working on, we do this 0.5 show, and we think it's cool. But I think we're working on something in the mix to continue to talk sports with you guys, even after Jared and I do our thing. So we're working on a few things. We're coming up with some ideas, and I'm interested. So Steve, if you want to tell them more about it, I had an idea. It sounded great, but when I pitched it to him, he gave some more information, and I like where he's going. We have another individual that's going to be in this with us, so it'll be a trio. It won't be a duo. So we'll have a duo or 2-0, whatever you want to call it, with the C&J Sports and Beer podcast. But as an extension, aka the B side, Steve and I and somebody else, we're going to create a trio show. And it sounds very interesting what we have in group emails talking between each other. So Steve, if you want to, I guess, give your thoughts on it, go ahead, man.
Yeah, it's one of those things we're just trying to make the conversation, and keep it interesting, keep it competitive at the same time. We're coming up with a few topics to talk about. Maybe one of us is on offense, one's on defense. So if I call run. If it's an easier topic, we'll have someone that's a third party come in here, narrate it. And basically, if you win the topic, and you're on offense, the ball moves up 5 yards. If you lose the topic, maybe it's a sack, you lose some yardage. And basically, if you're on defense, you're trying to stop the other person from scoring. If you're on offense, you're trying to win, 3 of the 5 topics or so to get yourself a touchdown. Just, make it fun, keep it interesting, keep it competitive. It kind of keeps us both on check to where, we're doing our research as well, that we're not just coming over here and just flying off the seat of our pants and just giving just our straight up opinions. We try to get some facts behind it as well. At the same time, we're not going to just be book nerds and be crunching every single number out there, but, just try to keep it fun. And, like Chuck said, he's got 1,000,001 social media outlets. So if anyone listening has some suggestions for us, feel free to contact me through Chuck. That's very cool. No big deal about that. Chuck will relay the message. But yeah, if you guys got suggestions out there of maybe topics or ideas for a show, or basically a platform for the show, we're all ears, again, because we do what we do because we love it, and we do it for you guys out there listening. So again, I also want to thank you for taking the time to listen to us rant on some of these topics. I also want to thank Chuck over here. I really do appreciate you coming up with this whole idea, taking the time to actually get a podcast together, and just thinking about me and asking me to be on the show. And again, I'm definitely enjoying myself, and I'm more than happy to do this whenever we can get it done.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you, and like I said, I'm looking forward to this next side project. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is the C&J Sports and Beer podcast, kicking it with your boy Chucky, Charlie, and my homeboy Steve-O. We will see you guys soon. We'll see you on Wednesday. And where it fits, you may hear Steve again on Wednesday, but be on the lookout for the new project he and I are putting together with another individual. So long, and we'll see you guys later.
Later.
She's a slim beat girl from Decatur. When we first spoke, I could tell she had flavor. Her voice box smelled like green hour later.
What's up? Got me feeling like an AC. Cruising with the top down, the weather still amazes me. Cali's been good, so I'ma keep taking dates with her. But if she cheat on me, I promise I'ma find better. They saying the Oak's a cold chick with an attitude that is true, but it's expensive if I had to move. So I might do Texas if I had to choose. A lot of people tell me that the rain must have do, but shoot, I'm in the mood for a better view. You must be tripping if you think there's not a better you. And I got it, C.A. you the hottest, but my A.C. lady is modest.
Pace ain't there, but it's cool, cause looks don't intimidate me. I don't care about her past or what she done in the street, but I always come home cause we got history. Callie is her name and she got my wedding ring.
I think I could find me a better woman, some girl who defines me as she do it. She knows what's inside me, so one myself got me finding that I love Callie. I think I could find me a better woman, some girl who defines me as she do it. She knows what's inside me, so one myself got me finding that I love Callie. Yeah, I know I do. I do it all for Callie. Yeah, I know I do. I lose it all for Callie. Yeah, I know I do. My only girl is Callie. Yeah, I know I do, cause all I love is Callie. Best thing about her, she never leave me. Even though the money I'm making will make it easy. Some call her sleazy, but I would never do it to her. Some tried to give it to her, but I'm the only man who does it right. I know that you're spoiled, I know just what you like. And everybody wants to hit it cause they heard you tight. But fuck a visit cause I always want you in my life. Despite your crazy ways, I'm back on my flight. So maybe my baby's not the lady I know, and maybe she playing cause she heard it before. But the one thing I know, when I'm leaving the O, I'm going right back to her like I met her before. I think I could find me a better woman, some girl who defines me as she do it. She knows what's inside me, so myself got me finding that I love Callie. I think I could find me a better woman, some girl who defines me as she do it. She knows what's inside me, so myself got me finding that I love Callie. I know I do. I do it all for Callie. I know I do. I lose it all for Callie. I know I do. My only girl is Callie. I know I do, cause all I'm